Alrighty, guys, welcome to the Master Key. My name is Louis Amorosi, and I'm with my business partner and founder, one of the founders. Her name is Gina Rinkin. So, guys, look, we decided to make this an interested first episode on a podcast, right? So, we're going to talk about a life experience that I went through and Gina has went through as well. As you can tell, the topic of today's podcast is bankruptcies, right? What do you do to prevent a bankruptcy? How you get a bankruptcy removed, so to speak, life after a bankruptcy. And then last but not least, how to prevent yourself from ever having that as an option. Gina, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was like like it was pretty nerve wracking the first time I even thought about the idea of a bankruptcy.
Yeah, I mean, life was pretty crazy. I know that, for everybody watching, everybody's kind of like, I had people ask me all the time why they should go with us for clients, why they should, why are we different? And you and I talk all the time about why we're different. And I tell them, I'm like, listen, I've been right there. I filed bankruptcy. And the reason that I became literate in this area was because I had to fix my own credit. And like, if anybody doesn't believe that I really filed bankruptcy, here's my paperwork. See, bankruptcy.
So you brought out the real bankruptcy papers.
Yeah, I somehow just looking at this, and when it just sat in a drawer, but every time I come across it, and I'm just like, this is where I was at, and I got past it. And actually, and this is a lot of people's story too, it wasn't the only time. I rebuilt my credit from there. And then because of a financial misstep, when my daughter was born, she just actually today is my daughter's birthday. She's 9 years old. My credit score was 450, and so just pulled myself out of it from there. Actually, that was the big one. The bankruptcy was like, everything had piled up, and I made that really tough decision. But it was the second time because I knew bankruptcy was not going to be an option that time. And like, what do you do? How do you fix it when there's not a bankruptcy? And so that was the time where it was the real learning lesson for me. And there was no fast fix. There was no, writing letters to the bureau to get it off quickly, or rapid inquiry removals, or rent reporters throw some stuff on there really fast. There was none of that. And I really took a hard, long road. And so that's why I'm so invested in trying to help people, and you and I talk about that all the time. And we're always trying to find new ways and learning to, find those things, those tips and tricks to help people out, the things that we didn't have when we were going through this.
That's for sure. I remember, and just a long and short of it, guys, I remember. So I was in a industry that got hit pretty hard due to the pandemic, and that was a travel business, and that kind of shut my then business down completely. To where now I have a staff, I have an office, and I have to now look at every one of my employees and tell them that they no longer have a job. They no longer have a source to provide for themselves and stuff. So and I couldn't find it in my heart of hearts to do that. So I went ahead and did what most business owners that were struggling did through the pandemic, and we'll touch base on this later on. The big nose, the like total nose of MCA loans, right? A lot of people take out those loans thinking that they're lifesavers, but that's actually, in theory, what shut down my company. But yeah, so I filed Chapter 7. They explained to me exactly the differences between both Chapter 13 and 7. I'm pretty sure you had to go through the same thing, which was taking like a course or something, right? Before actually filing your bankruptcy. Or I'm sorry, not filing, but getting a discharge or dismissed. You had to pass that course. So I did all that. But I did go over, I did, there were some obstacles that presented themselves, Gina, at the time when I was trying to remove the bankruptcy from my actual credit report. And one of the main things that I think that we can help a lot of our viewers on is where to send when you're actually disputing the bankruptcy, where to send your bankruptcy paperwork to, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I sent my bankruptcy paperwork directly to the credit bureaus. And
no.
that was like the biggest
waste of time.
Yeah, that was like a major red flag. And the reason why is because this can actually lower your credit score. If the bureaus find creditors that are not included as part of your bankruptcy that were not reporting on your credit, they're going to start reporting now. So I kind of shot myself in the foot until, obviously, it was done properly. Now, let me ask you a question, because I don't think a lot of the viewers, and if you guys are out there and you currently have a bankruptcy and you haven't reached out, to a credit repair company to possibly help you remove that public record from your credit, or even attempted to do it on your own. We obviously do have our own bankruptcy begone book and stuff like that, and we'll get into that. But you guys should do your research. Listening to this podcast will only get you to the point where it's like, okay, cool. Now I need to do I got to put in my end of the bargain. You know what I mean? As a consumer. So what would be the number one step you would say when disputing your bankruptcy? What would be the number one step before anything gets disputed? What do you got to collectively make sure you have?
The first thing is to make sure that you have the information of where your bankruptcy was filed. So if you just filed it, obviously you're going to have that information, but sometimes you might have filed it 3 or 4 years ago. So you may not remember the court that you filed in, the docket number, all of that, because that's really important to have on the letters when you start mailing them out. Because what most people don't realize is one of the letters that you're going to mail out is to that courthouse, is to the clerk of courts in the county that you filed that bankruptcy to. So it's really important to have that information, because you're going to mail a letter out to that courthouse. I see a lot of things out there, and like you said, you mailed a letter to the credit reporting agency so many times, and I see it across Facebook. We can get your bankruptcy off in 30 days. We can get your bankruptcy off in 2 weeks. There's a lot of people that prey on people who really, really want that bankruptcy off their credit report, because, they're trying to get a car, they're trying to get credit, they're trying to get their credit scores up. There's nobody that's getting a bankruptcy off of somebody's credit report in 30 days. It's a tedious process. It can be done. I just had bankruptcy trades removed because technically a bankruptcy, what most people don't realize is it's a public record. It's not a trade reporting on your credit report. It's bought by the back bureaus as a public record. It's bought. It's information that's bought and then reported. Yeah. So it's not, nobody's actually reporting that. No creditors reporting it. So how is that actually reporting to your credit report? That's how we get it removed. But it really is a process. It's a process.
Yeah, they're specifically not, they're just specific court related items. That's all they are. And and like you, just to piggyback on what you just said, there, if it's not reporting a creditor's name, or you're reporting like municipal of court or clerk of courts or anything of that nature, those are indeed they're not creditors or furnishers. So they get a direct violation of the FCRA. Another question, because I found that and just going back to the first time I tried to dispute this on my own, I realized that a very, very important step into removing a bankruptcy is to actually dissect your credit report and go over a couple of things before going into the dispute process, right? And like in a lot of the items, when you go into specifically a chapter 7, all these balances, and there should be nothing reporting if it got discharged, right? Any of the discharge accounts, you got to make sure that they're no longer, showing a balance on your credit report.
Right.
So what a lot of times, back to credit restoration, right? If you see that the creditors have continued to access your credit profile after the actual discharge, the number one tip I would say is contact your bankruptcy attorney, right? This could
inaccurate information.
Exactly. They don't have the right or permission to access your credit report after a discharge. And there's actually $1,000 penalty for each violation every time this happens.
Yep.
Most bankruptcies are being reported incorrectly. Now, now I'm pretty sure you can agree. When I say most, I'm talking about like 90% of them, right? And you have the right to have these items investigated. Another thing that I wasn't fully aware of is a company by the name of LexisNexis when I first started the dispute process. I want to talk to the viewers about what LexisNexis is and the importance of that.
Yeah, LexisNexis holds the public records. So LexisNexis is going to hold your bankruptcies. They're going to hold any collections, all of any public records that are on file. So if you are looking to find anything on you that's public, the best bet would be to go ahead and pull your LexisNexis report and see what's on it. If you want to find out, how to access your LexisNexis report, how to dispute, or even how to freeze your LexisNexis report, that is all in the book that walks you through that entire process in walking through how to potentially dispute. And we don't ever say that we can tell you how to absolutely remove information from your credit report. We can walk you through how to remove inaccurate reportings. We can walk you through how to, remove things that should not be there, because sometimes things are reporting accurately and you never know, 100% how to do that. We have letters that are form written, letters that are written by lawyers, letters that help you get those items removed, but they just walk you through the process, because that's a lot of times what people don't really know. I sure as heck had nobody helping me at the time. I luckily had a very dear and good friend of mine that actually did credit repair for a credit repair lawyer. Okay. He got the packet for me, but they were letters, like actual letters. I have the law letters, and doing it by hand. And that is literally when I started credit repair, literally making printing your credit report, which, by the way, is like 50 pages long sometimes. And then you circled what you were disputing, 3 to 5 items at a time. And you wrote, I don't agree with this, and you attached a letter to it and you mailed it out, waited for it to come back. And then you had to print another credit report. It's a lot of money, So that's how I started doing credit repair. And then once I started seeing results, then it was like, friends and family, hey, Gina can do credit repair. So, and then it was a learning lesson. And then learning, my credit got stuck at 640. So it just got stuck there. Well, then I got a new credit card, and all of a sudden my score went up, and it was like, wait, hold on. Oh, then somebody's like, oh, you got to add credit to gain credit, And so it was just a learning lesson as I went along. But the bankruptcy, I had to wait the bankruptcy out. I had to wait for it to fall off.
Yeah.
Chapter 7, there was no removing it. But now that I walk through this process, we have seen these bankruptcies come off, but only because we very carefully take the steps to show it's reporting inaccurately. And then, like what you just said, so when we look at the trades and we show that they're reporting inaccurate information, then we can have them removed. What is it? 80% of Americans have inaccurate information reporting on their credit report.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And
80.
with all the errors, and exposing that these credit bureaus are doing, i.e., Equifax and TransUnion just recently just exposed millions of people's financial information. A lot of that stuff, obviously that's pretty big. You know what I mean? You can use a lot of that stuff in conjunction, but keep in mind, guys, I mean, and when I say guys, I'm talking to the viewers that are tuning in. Bankruptcy has been rumored to stay on your credit report for what, 7 to 10 years. The chapter
7 for chapters 7 and 10 for 13.
Yeah. So, yep. So, so they can report up to, again, anywhere from 7 to 10 years, depending on what chapter, right? So many times when, the accounts that were included within that bankruptcy, many times those are not updated to reflect on your credit report. And that's what people don't understand, is that can lower your credit score tremendously, because it's still showing it's still showing up as a derogatory. So what we're going to do, and this kind of just segments into the steps on removing your bankruptcy, is we're going to go, obviously we're going to show you exactly what to do step by step. And then if you guys have any other questions or anything of that nature, you can always reach out to us through our website, which is themasterkey2.com. We have all sorts of cool things going on in there. And, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. But Gina, the first thing that is very, very, very important, just to piggyback on what you were just talking about a couple minutes ago, is you need to suppress that LexisNexis report, right?
Absolutely.
So that is the number one, that's the number one company out there that furnishes data. So we want to make sure you freeze that. You want to make sure you ask for a report through LexisNexis. Let's suppress that because that's extremely important in the process. Now, after you request your consumer reports from LexisNexis and Pacer and ARS, which is another third-party reporting agency, secondaries obviously that house and distribute the information that the bureaus actually go to seek, and that's what gets reported on your credit report essentially, is you want to go ahead and write a second letter requesting the data to be deleted from the secondary bureaus. Now, when we say secondary bureaus, again, we're talking about LexisNexis, ARS, and Pacer. Once you send a letter to these
but Louis, you left out a little step, a tricky step.
What's that?
That's the letter to the courthouse. So once you freeze those, writing a letter to the courthouse saying, okay, courthouse, and we have a form letter that is an amazing letter, writing the letter to the courthouse saying, dear courthouse, according to LexisNexis, they're saying that you reported. So, and that's where the $1 million trick comes from.
That's the key.
That's the key. Because the courthouse is going to write you back like you're crazy. They're like, we don't report. We don't report.
I wish I had let me see if I have a live. Well, not a live. It's not like it's. I thought I had a report. Actually, we have, and again, tons of customers that we dealt with and fixed their, and restored their credit or whatever the case might be. You know what that letter looks like, right? It's a letter directly from the courthouse, and it specifically says on there, I wish I could find one so I can show you guys the verbiage, but it specifically says that they do not furnish to third-party companies. So right when that happens, right when the client or the person that filed bankruptcy receives that letter from the courthouse, right? That's when the fun begins. So right when they get that, now they're sending that letter directly to the credit bureaus, or are they sending it to the?
No, now you send it back to LexisNexis. And here's the thing.
Hold on.
Filing a complaint with the CFPB
Mhm.
actually is a way to just have it all squashed. So you kind of have two options here. You can go ahead and I kind of do both at the same time. I send it back to LexisNexis and I say, hey, listen, y'all are reporting this, take it off. This
Yeah.
courthouse is like, but I also file a complaint. Look, this courthouse is not reporting it, but the LexisNexis is saying that they have it. And I have found that that actually speeds up the process. And once that all kind of comes together, LexisNexis just sends it to the credit reporting agencies. And if they don't, then I just send it all. I give it a little bit of time, but I've been seeing them come off pretty fast.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And now let me just ask you one question. Do you think that now a lot of people don't know what the CFPB is, right? So let's just the CFPB stands for Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So in theory, they're protecting who? The consumer, right? So in
Yeah.
this, we've sent the letters out to the secondary bureau. What you're saying is that once I'm sorry, not sending the letter out to the secondary bureau, but getting that information from the secondary bureau and sending that letter out to the courthouse. Once that letter comes back from the courthouse, right? You're sending that letter to the main credit bureaus
with the credit report from the back bureaus. Yeah.
Okay, now you say you like to do them sort of like at the same time. So you would follow up. So you would open up an account with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and send a complaint and upload your letter and what you're complaining about on their portal as well, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the steps on successfully removing it. Now, obviously suppressing the consumer report with LexisNexis and the secondary bureaus is extremely important. But yeah, I mean, guys, listen, there is life after a bankruptcy, right? There's life just because, you found yourself in a tough situation and you had to do what you had to do, like most of us did. There's always life after a bankruptcy. And we are for the next I want to say the next 3 weeks, right? We have 3 more episodes left on this topic alone. We're going to be speaking about different ways of, different types of bankruptcies and how to strategically remove those public records and derogatories from your credit. Most important, I know that in next week's segment is we're going to start rolling the importance of data points, right? When it comes to credit and how to manipulate those data points so that way you ultimately don't fall into what we've had to experience, right? Filing bankruptcy. Just very quick, what's your favorite data point out of all those?
I'm big on that whole teaching people to pay down utilization based on the new tricky trick. My tricky trick.
That's extremely important. So a lot of people don't understand that, right? People still think, hey, you got to be at 30% utilization for my credit cards and I'll be fine. No, they need to stop Googling things, right? There's a reason.
There's a tricky trick.
There's a reason why they want you at 30%, right, Gina? So if you miss that payment or don't send them the amount that they're looking for, now your credit does nothing.
That old pay before the due date or pay at the first of the month or pay when the bill comes in is not where it's at.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all.
And that's and to the viewers, that's the main purpose and sole purpose of why we started this podcast. It's all about financial literacy, guys. Knowing the knows and keeping yourself up to date. Knowledge is power. A lot of people don't know a lot of the things that we're going to be going over, a lot of the topics that
or they see the post, they see people posting about it, but like you see a post, you read a post and you're like, huh?
Yeah. And that's important. You need to always understand what you're seeing or what you're, because again, it goes back. Knowledge is power. If we don't have the knowledge, then
I told you to turn the phone off.
oh my God, it's the master key. We're live, guys. No, listen. But no, seriously. So next week, just want to go ahead and finish off saying that next week it's going to be extra exciting. We're going to talk about the 5 data points, what makes up a credit score, and why 2 of those data points specifically mean everything when it comes to, not filing a bankruptcy or never getting yourself to that point. Gina, did you want to say anything to our viewers before we let them go?
No, I'm super excited. This is the first podcast that we made. We hope to really make tons and tons more, bring you lots and lots of information. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, join our group, follow, share, like, all the things that people do. Join us on our journey. We're really, really excited.
I would tell them to click the button below, but at this point, guys, we don't know where the button's going to land on our screen, but we'll figure that stuff out. Like she just said, it's the first episode, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I look forward to hearing from a lot of these customers and
comment. Tell us subjects that you want to hear from us, like topics. We're going to bringing you a lot of tax update topics. So that's another big field that I'm more into. He's the financial literacy, I'm taxes, but we're going to bring you a lot of subjects.
Taxes are important. Taxes are extremely important. A lot of people are not. They're not. I mean, they're not polished when it comes to taxes. And Gina has been around taxation for a long time. Like she said, she's the one that you guys are going to be.
Follow us on our YouTube channel. That's where it's going to be at.
Yeah, and please hit subscribe and like. Right. So, guys, until next time, I want to thank you guys and enjoy. Bye.
All right. Bye.